And the body of the former Prime Minister RAILA ODINGA, draped in the Kenyan flag and on the gun carriage, is now inbound Kasarani and accompanied by the multitude of supporters since it was flown back to the country this morning from India in the journey yesterday that started at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. The Kenyan delegation led by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, which escorted back the body of the former Prime Minister. And the live pictures are coming to you from the precincts of the Moi International Kasarani Stadium that is on the gun carriage, the military gun carriage, draped in the Kenyan flag, and the services from the defense forces that are also giving their respects in regards to the state funeral that was accorded the former Prime Minister by President William Ruto. And there you can see lawmaker Millie Odhiambo singing alongside the supporters of the former Prime Minister, and their vehicle is now inbound the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. And this is a day after the passing on of the former Prime Minister RAILA ODINGA, the ODM party leader, as well as the former Prime Minister who has served as a parliamentarian and also a key ingredient of the Grand Coalition government. Of course, deep history, a man who has won the hearts of the millions who have today poured onto the streets of Nairobi and across the country with considerable ease. The socialism in him, the fight for equity, justice, accountability, good governance, and the void that they said that he has left the country's political arena is which they continue to express, and who then takes over the former Prime Minister's political baton, both at the party level and also at the national level. The public viewing of the body of the former Prime Minister was moved from the National Assembly as earlier planned, following the communication yesterday issued by the Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, who chairs the committee that is mandated to prepare the funeral of the former Prime Minister. And due to the logistical nightmare fears that it had presented this morning, a communication was issued to the supporters of the former Prime Minister and the party to head to the Kasarani Stadium for the public viewing of the body. And we can communicate now that the body has arrived at the Kasarani Stadium, and the directions will be given on how the public viewing will be taking place. Among the leadership of the party who this morning had managed to cool the supporters of the Prime Minister at the precincts of Parliament, who are waiting even before the arrival of his body, were AMOLLO, the lawmaker representing Rarieda constituency, and it was up until the intervention of the Embakasi East lawmaker Babu Owino and the ODM party Secretary General Edwin Sifuna, who was part of the delegation that was airborne for more than 17 hours to bring back the body of the former Prime Minister. And this, of course, is part of the coverage that we'll be giving you alongside what will be happening in Bondo, his home, where he will be laid to rest. And my colleague Sam Gituko has been giving us where the final rites for the former Prime Minister will be taking place. And on Sunday, it will mark exactly 72 hours as he had wished to be laid to rest on Sunday. And that will be happening in Bondo. But that will be preceded by a series of events, as you can witness at the moment today, of the former Prime Minister, which is the public viewing of the body of the former Prime Minister, now taken off the military gun carriage, draped in the Kenyan flag that he loved for so long, his entire life. And now it's taken into the Kasarani Stadium upon the shoulders of the services from the Defense Forces in their ceremonial attire, who this morning have been with a snail pace along Mombasa Road from the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, taken his body until its arrival at the Kasarani Stadium, the 60,000 seater stadium, where people, as you can see, have almost filled to capacity, and also taking the pitch space at the stadium. And thereafter, of course, will be the starting of the public viewing of the former Prime Minister. Still photos of the former MP, former Prime Minister, the ODM party leader, who has with ease won over the hearts of many Kenyans, today playing before our own eyes the support that he has commanded among millions of Kenyans. And there we go, the stadium almost filled to capacity, if not full. And they are also in the company of millions of others who are following this live broadcast across the country, following the death of the former Prime Minister. A frontline in the defense for human rights, an advocate, a Pan-Africanist and nationalist, the patriot, the dexterous, the bold, the geostrategist, RAILA AMOLLO ODINGA. Born in Maseno in the county of Kisumu, up until the apex of Kenya's politics, becoming, if not the most, one of the most consequential politicians that the motherland has ever produced. A man engineered for different seasons, and against all the odds when ruled out, has managed to defy the odds. And from the ashes at the odd times, he has managed to overcome the challenges of his time, dating back to when he was first elected to Parliament, then, and also as a parliamentarian, especially after the 1997 elections, when he had extended an olive branch to President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, who was under considerable pressure after his re-election for a final term following the repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution. Odinga then thereafter becoming a key member of KANU party before the 2002 elections, and the opposition at the time presented with the enormous task of coalescing around a candidate and managing to throw his weight behind Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki, which led to the birth of the National Alliance Rainbow Coalition government, which had defeated the KANU candidate then, Uhuru Kenyatta, a protege of Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, before the friction that had bedeviled the NAG government, leading to the referendum in 2005 and the unceremonious dismissal of cabinet by President Mwai Kibaki after his team, the Banana team, had lost the referendum to Raila Odinga's orange side of the divide. That led to the birth of the ODM party just less than 2 years before the elections in 2007, historic by all means, and commentators arguing that Odinga won the 2007 elections, and of course the ugly spectre which had engulfed the country in the aftermath of that. Let's cross over to the Kasarani Stadium and listen in.
Alexis on the beat.
And there you have the live pictures coming to you from the Moi International Kasarani Sports Center, where we had witnessed the arrival of the body of the former Prime Minister that was taken off the military gun carriage and into the stadium thereafter. The scenes that we had witnessed of gunfire, shots into the air to disperse the surging crowd into the area that was meant to be the sitting positions for the dignitaries, including the president, who we hadn't confirmed his presence. But we had seen the presence of other ODM leadership. But to get what's happening there, let's get in touch with my colleague Jimmy Mbogo by way of link. And Jimmy, what can you tell us? We have heard sounds of gunshots. What exactly is happening?
Ayub, it's quite a scary experience where we are currently standing in somewhere we've had to take cover. So there was a bit of an altercation between the leaders and the crowd that had gathered there. There was a bit of pouring of water on that is on some of the leaders there, and we saw a bit, some of the agitated crowd throwing the twigs that they had with them into that is the presidential dais. I believe that should be in the middle. Now, that is what triggered the response from the police officers and the security personnel that were manning that pavilion, both the presidential escort and, of course, the wrecking team that is currently here at Kasarani Stadium. So that then resulted to the lobbing of tear gas just to try and disperse that crowd that was there. And it didn't matter whether you're media or part of the crowd that was just that had gathered here as mourners. Everyone has been dispersed. So we are still taking cover somewhere within the building, but we will try to go back in and see whether that has been addressed. But majority of the people that had gathered here at Kasarani Stadium, there was a bit of a stampede, and most of them actually ran towards the exit. So if you look at the exit places, and especially next to Gate 4 and Gate 3, that is where majority of the people are currently standing. When you look on behind the presidential pavilion, there's still a number of vehicles here belonging to some of these leaders that were inside. We're trying to just say, and so earlier, Ayub, what we saw is some of these ODM leaders had tried to reach out and speak to try and just calm down but was getting agitated. I've been here from right around the time that here, which is around 12 p.m. Now, you will remember that the viewing was supposed to happen at Parliament, but because of the crowd there and the very poor crowd control that we saw there, that same crowd had to move back to this side once they got the news that the viewing was supposed to happen right here at the Kasarani Stadium. Now, but as soon as we got here, that is around a few minutes after midday, that is when we found the police and the security apparatus here at the Kasarani Stadium just trying to come up with a strategy and planning themselves. However, a few minutes after we got here, there was a slowly building. If you remember from the link that I had done earlier on, we just got into the stadium. The crowd was still very manageable, so there was an opportunity to try and control this crowd better. However, that opportunity was missed because as the security operators were still getting their acts together, the crowd kept on. And so they ended up getting into the stadium through all the entrance that they could find and slowly onto the play. Now, ideally, what we were told the plan was for them to get into the stadium, that is between Gate 9 and Gate 10, and walk around the stadium, view the body right down, right on the field level. That is where the viewing was supposed to happen, straight on across from the presidential pavilion, and they were supposed to walk straight into Gate 4 and exit through that gate. However, before even the barrier could be set up, the crowd kept on increasing, and so it became a nightmare. The security operators were not ready to receive this crowd that was building, but then so the crowd went on, and we saw a number of leaders from the ODM party that were already here. They tried to speak to them just to try and get them to calm down, to try and get them to be patient. However, there has been no communication from the leaders that are currently here. We have tried to, we're hoping that at least there would be a bit of a direction to be given. And right above me, I can see former Chief Justice, that is David Maraga, who's also taken cover in the VIP area. And so that just goes to show you that no one was spared in this chaos that we have witnessed a few minutes ago. So there was a bit of tear gas that has been lobbed, and what is believed to be either live or rubber bullets that was that rushed in the air, trying to make sure crowd that was really buzzing and asking to know what is the way forward. We will try also to, if we can, able to speak to some of the youth. However, that will have to wait until later on so that we can understand why what triggered that. But from where we were shooting from and from where we were standing together with our to alert you is that our entire team is okay. That is my camera person, my camera colleague, and also our colleagues from Inoro and Ramogi. We are all safe, so no one needs to worry about us. We're okay. We're just taking cover. So based on that, we will try to understand. We haven't seen any of the leaders leave yet. Right where I'm standing, what I can be able to see is that all the leaders are still here based on the number of their vehicles, and all their assistants are still here. You can see a number of them just speaking to each other. It is, however, what we do not know is what is the way forward. Is there are Kenyans going to be allowed then to go ahead and view this body and pay their last respect or not? Because from all indications here is that this is likely to happen. However, there has been no communication. Now, I will take you back. The public address vehicle, the president side of the field, but as soon as it bigger, we saw some of these vehicles being attacked. Initially, playing a bit of music, just
that is Jimmy Mbogo, and we do apologize towards the end of the lacking clarity in his communication due to the breakdown that we had experienced, and he was giving us an assessment of what's happening at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, where members of the security service are trying to contain the surging sea of humanity that was there to receive the body of the former Prime Minister RAILA ODINGA that was taken off the military gun carriage. And the public viewing that was supposed to happen seems to be here, underpinned by the headache posed by the logistical nightmare which had prompted the move from the National Assembly in Parliament to the Moi International Sports Center. And we had seen a while ago, as Jimmy had reported, sounds of the gunfire, but he had authoritatively confirmed that those were of rubber bullets that were fired to disperse the crowds, and as well as the tear gas that was lobbed to disperse the crowds that were building up towards the presidential dais that was meant to accommodate the president and other dignitaries for the public viewing that was to take place. And this is in relation to the fitting send-off that was accorded the former Prime Minister by the President yesterday when he addressed the nation from State House in Nairobi, a man who he had described, and many did, including those who he had served with in Parliament, as a debater, and a formidable one at that, when he represented the constituency of Langata, and thereafter becoming one of the key ingredients of the Grand Coalition government, having served as the Prime Minister with President Mwai Kibaki after the 2007 post-election violence. A man of convictions made for the seasons, as yesterday described by many, and the fitting salute that will be accorded the former Prime Minister, and a man who as well had broken the thickness of unimaginable glass ceiling in Kenya's political arena. So as we make sense of what's happening in Kasarani, let's come back to studio, and I'm joined by Alex Matere and Kidi Mwaga. Gentlemen, much appreciated. Of course, young, but both of you have benefited from the association that you had with the former Prime Minister. Alex, to begin with you, such a big day, and it appears that even in death, the former Prime Minister, as he was when he was alive, commands so much respect among millions with considerable ease.
Thank you so much, Ayub. First, allow me to start by sending my heartfelt condolences to our mother, Mama Aida, the children, our contemporaries, Winnie, Junior, and Rosemary, for not just having lost a leader, but a father. Secondly, also to all his supporters across. Baba, in several occasions, he was heard saying that he has 10 million strong. His rallying call has always been 10 million strong. And whoever doubted that, today I think by what we have been able to see from JKIA to Kasarani has basically proven that Baba was really, really loved. The way Wamalwa Kijana aptly captured it back when they were fighting for multi-party democracy, that there are only two sides of Raila and his supporters. You are either a Raila mania or a Raila phobia. So you've seen the mania side of Raila play out today. What I'd want to encourage the supporters who are across the country is to ask themselves one pertinent question. Mm-hmm. How would Baba have wanted his farewell to be? Would he have wanted it to have this kind of commotion that we are witnessing in Kasarani? Or he would have wanted it to be quite orderly, the way he was and the way he taught us all through the years that we shared with him? He would have wanted all the protocols to be followed. He would have wanted people to mourn him, but in order. So I'd want to encourage and urge all the supporters across the country to exercise decorum, to exercise restraint despite the kind of pain, the kind of sadness that they have in their hearts, so that we can be able to give Baba a befitting send-off.
Yeah. And Kidi, an extraordinary leader, an extraordinary man.
An extraordinary leader, an extraordinary man. Wonderful phrases for Raila Odinga. I mean, Ayub, we are in this moment of a grief of continental proportion. I think it is incumbent upon us as the people of Kenya, again, as my brother Matere rightly puts it, to agonize profoundly on how Baba would have wanted us to remember him. I think one of the greatest legacy of Raila Amollo Odinga was that he understood profoundly what a fragile state Kenya was. And I think that at every critical juncture, when us as his supporters would feel that maybe he had been robbed of victory, yeah, Baba would have the presence of mind to put aside his ambition and give the people who then had been given the instruments of power to lead. And he would then lend them his own legitimacy of the people who loved him. I think to that extent, as the people of Kenya, we must remember that Baba wanted us to live in a peaceful country, and to that extent, may we remember that and remain peaceful in all the processes that have been, as they have been communicated to us by the funeral committee.
Yeah, and the changes, Alex, coming in because Parliament apparently wouldn't have been the ideal location. I mean, despite what was granted as the state funeral and all the accompanying rights that will be detailing and the differences therein because of the persona of the former Prime Minister. And appears that it still is prompting logistical challenges and nightmare, as we had witnessed at the Kasarani Stadium.
Yeah.
Seems that we are in for a long haul before his burial on Sunday.
Yeah. I think it was expected for us who have been learning at Raila's feet. We knew that despite the wishes that he had made very clear through the committee, that he would have wanted to be mourned and buried within 3 days. We also have, on the flip side, the wishes of his supporters, of his mentees, of the people that he has groomed and mentored across the journey. And therefore, I think this is part of the challenge that we currently have. Early in the day, I was actually at JKIA.
Yeah. In the morning?
In the morning, when the military had actually also mounted military guard in honor, in readiness for receiving the body together with the president in honor of Raila Odinga. But that wasn't possible because the crowd kept on surging to the point that it had to move all the way to the runway. And later after that, we came all the way up to Parliament. And coming to Parliament again, we had left one big crowd at JKIA. Another one, we came with it all the way to town. In Parliament, there was also a crowd that was waiting for him.
And also at the Lee Funeral Home.
At the Lee Funeral Home, there was also another crowd waiting for him. So this is basically the enigma, the way it has been captured by Babafemi Badejo in his book. This is the enigma of Kenyan politics. I'm so sure there are thousands of supporters who have traveled from across all corners of the country to be able to be here to pay tribute and also to view the body and pay their last respect to Raila Odinga. So it's going to be a logistical nightmare. First from Kasarani, then where the body is going to be taken tonight, the state funeral that we expect tomorrow. But that said and done, also there are protocols that come with the preparation of a state funeral. We have to remember very well that Raila himself was actually an avid debater representing Langata constituency, probably the only person in the history of our democracy who, after he crossed party lines, he actually went through a by-election that was caused by that. I don't think we have any other person who has been able to do that. So Raila stands tall, first as a parliamentarian and secondly as a leader. And because of that, I think, and as per the protocols of state funerals, it was procedural that he needed to have gone to Parliament the way it has always been done by former heads and departed former heads of states and heads of government. If a prime minister passes on, then they have to lay in state in Parliament. So it's a ritual or it's a tradition that has already been set. The thing that keeps on bothering me is whether we can be able to manage this logistical nightmare to fully carry out the state funeral the way the protocols require, or we might have to skive one or two other processes.
Yeah, and Kidi, when he was presented with the question of losing the presidency, the prospects of losing support regarding the Mau Forest question, he said, I am not a consensus politician, but a conviction politician. And this mark certainly is it, as a student of political history, Kidi, the beginning of a new era for Kenya after Sunday. How will it look like in the shadows of the former Prime Minister?
I think the best part about Raila's legacy is that he allowed so many young and upcoming politicians to access him. For instance, on this panel alone, we had the good fortune of working very intimately with him during last election. We were actually among a select few young people who did the last mile of his youth presidential campaign. One thing Raila taught us is that you cannot get into leadership, particularly political leadership, and sustain a long-term following if you are not authentic. That authenticity of Raila Odinga, you see it from the days they begin LDP, when he is championing for socioeconomic rights, to the time when, as a prime minister and co-president and helping birth the new constitution, they make sure that Article 43 was about socioeconomic rights, that they realize that leaving them as political rhetoric is not enough, because you are not sure who is going to get to the helm of power tomorrow. So that irrespective of whoever is president, whoever holds the instruments of power, they must remember that socioeconomic rights are part of the social bargain that the people have made with the state. So you see Raila, the conviction politician. And I think if you look at Kenya's history in the 21st century, he remains the most consequential retail politician. One politician who had the capacity to connect with people from diverse backgrounds. The rest of us knew how much Raila would keep in touch, would call the most,
of his political career, as well as the final moments of the former Prime Minister before his death in India yesterday on Wednesday. A shocking time for the country and for the family of the former lawmaker, the former Prime Minister, and the ODM party leader. The sea of humanity, waiting for the arrival of the body of the Prime Minister Raila Odinga. This was moved from Parliament given the logistical nightmare that it had, according to the planners and the committee that was tasked to prepare the funeral of the former Prime Minister, the nightmare that it had presented the protocol team at the National Assembly, where the public viewing was to take place, as was the case for the former heads of state, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi and Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. In
the art of politics and the art of leadership and governance from the first generation of African leaders, the kind of vision that they had for Africa, the unity for Africa, the prosperity for Africa, the stability, the economic progress of Africa, this was transited later on to Raila, and he gave us a very good glimpse during the time he was he had given a bid to the AUC, the African Union Commission. I think it was quite clear the kind of politician that he was. To us who have gone through his hands, one of the things that probably is less said is that Raila wasn't made in a day. Raila was a product of a very rigorous and vigorous democratic process, that one of mentorship and that one of learning. Back after he came from detention and he went away in Norway, in one of the occasions that I sat with him, he used to tell me that the time that he was in Norway, 90% of his time, he actually took it to learn, to study African culture, to study African history, to study African economy. And that's why Raila was well versed with the entire continental economy. He wouldn't challenge him in a question. For instance, if you throw a random question about Mozambique, Raila would have an answer in his fingertips. If you challenged him on a question about Egypt, Raila would have an answer in his fingertips. So through the kind of mentorship that he himself was a product of, he managed to amass a lot of skills, including mobilization skills. And back in 1994, and also the clamor for multi-party democracy in 1992, repealing of Section 2A, if it were not for the kind of mobilization skills that the likes of Raila had, then that would have been very, very difficult. Ayub, as I probably finish on that part, the other part that I remember fondly, there's a time when I hosted the former Nigerian president, Olusegun Obasanjo, in Kenya. And when I was bidding him farewell at 3 a.m. at the VIP lounge that today we have gone there, very nostalgic for me to receive the body of my leader. I remember His Excellency asking me to reach out to the Honorable Raila. This was basically about a month or 1.5 months to the vote at AU. And I tried reaching him. Of course, definitely the phone was off. I called several aides and we were able to locate him. 2-3 minutes later, Raila called me and he was like, Alex, what is this that is so urgent that could not wait until sunrise? But I tell him, Your Excellency, it's not me. I actually have your contemporary here who would want to speak to you. And from that, definitely handed over the phone back to Obasanjo, and they had a conversation of about 15 to 20 minutes that is still very imprinted in my mind. And after I was given back the phone, Raila told me that don't let the general go. The first question you have to ask him is about the African Leadership Forum. Then the second question you have to ask him to tell you the experience that we had with Lin Kuan Yew. Lin Kuan Yew still remains a household name in the transformation of economies of Africa. Yes. Probably the only other person that was able to sit with Lin Kuan Yew, apart from Raila, is Nyong'o. This information, we get it from our interaction with Olusegun Obasanjo. So you can see the kind of mentorship that Raila also had gone through for him to have a very clear perspective of where our economy needed to go, of how to handle our issues, is because he had interacted, he had learned, he had studied, and he had also gotten the experience of sitting with the kind of transformation that Lin Kuan Yew had actually brought across in Singapore and Malaysia and all those other Asian tigers.
Yeah. And Kidi, before I come to you, this is a message from Franklin Mukwanja, the Executive Director at the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, an organization that Odinga had was so fond of and had supported its cause. He says, this is my view about the former Prime Minister. He is the only Raila Odinga now lying still and lifeless, yet the only one whose word could once hush the tempest he stirred, and the lone voice that could summon his legion to calm and obedience. What a true catch-22. For what can decree how Raila should be mourned? He asks the question. To mourn him, he says, the Raila way is to roar the streets alive, yet to honor him as a statesman is to heed the call for order. Even in death, he tests the balance between passion and peace. May he rest in eternal peace. That is Franklin Mukwanja, the Executive Director, the Center for Multi-Party Democracy.
A very good man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, certainly, we're also talking about Kidi. Is it, as you can see, the live pictures from his Bondo home,
yes,
where he will be laid to rest on Sunday. My colleague Sam Gituko and team have been here since yesterday when the former Prime Minister has passed. And at the Moi International Sports Center in Kasarani, where the members of the security agencies are keeping guard, given the logistical challenges that has faced the public viewing of the body of the former Prime Minister. And this is the outside view of the stadium, where my colleague Ben Kirui can now see you. As you can see, he's panning the live pictures there, and you can see the long line of the vehicles that had ferried the dignitaries there for the public viewing, which now, as you can see, looks frozen given the situation that we had witnessed there after the crowds were dispersed, who have been there, the multitude, the sea of humanity who have come there to view the body of the former Prime Minister. All these are live on your screens, and for a man who has commanded so much support with considerable ease, given how he had engineered himself to be the social democrat he was, also forming a party that had coalesced around the cause. A man who can be described in a long list of vocabularies, and who has left an impact in the political arena, given the, of course, footprints that he leaves within the political establishment. And you can see the fun that accompanies the supporters of ODINGA, who are putting the football pitch to maximum use, and the goalposts that are still there following the matches of the Africa Continental Championships, CHAN, that were hosted by Kenya. And it's also a fun moment for them. You can see there. And for Raila Odinga, who was passionate about football and who supported locally Gor Mahia or Kogalo, and supported Arsenal, the Gunners, in the English Premier League. A man of many seasons, as you can see, as the security agencies, with persuasive tone, as you can see, not in the other circumstance when this was protest along the streets, but trying to calm down those who are still finding it difficult to come to terms to appreciate the death of the former Prime Minister. So this is the continuing coverage of the live pictures that are coming to you from Bondo in Siaya County and in Nairobi at the Moi International Sports Center. And this is Mama Mary's graveyard, where alongside the other family members of the Odingas, where he will be laid to rest on Sunday. Of course, behind time, given that the communication yesterday issued by the Deputy President, this was supposed to have been by 12 p.m., but was moved from Parliament given the challenges it presented, and still the same appears to be the situation at the Kasarani Stadium. Yes, Kidi.
Ayub, these moments such as this can be very confusing, because I don't think any one of us on this panel ever imagined that we could speak about Raila Odinga in past tense so soon. I guess it has taken a lot of us almost 24 hours or so to actually internalize that Raila Odinga is no more. Because some of us have spoken very strongly, and I've spoken truth to power very strongly, in a manner that some has caught so many people with surprise, And many people have asked, where do you get the courage
Yeah.
to write or speak, sometimes in a manner that, you know, is likely to annoy certain people who hold powerful positions?
Okay.
What a lot of those people asking such question fail to realize is that we are...
Aliwapenda wananchi wote na ndiposa akajitolea. Kwa maisha yake, Bwana Spika, tuliona aliweza kufungwa kifungo kirefu, na sio kwa sababu yake, bali ni ili wananchi wa taifa hili waweze kupata ama waweze kuwa huru, na pia waweze kuwa na kuweza kupata ambapo Mheshimiwa Raila aliweza kusimama kindete na kusema ya kwamba lazima wananchi wa taifa hili waweze kusikizwa na waweze Bwana Spika, na huru. Bwana Spika, pia itakumbukwa ya kwamba Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga hakuwa mtu wa kuweka ama hakuwa mtu wa chuki. Wakati wowote ule angetendewa jambo baya, halikuwa anasamea. Na sisi kama viongozi, ningeomba sana tuweze kuiga mfano wa Mheshimiwa Raila, sababu ukweli ameweza kuwa mfano katika taifa hili, na ameweza kuonyesha ya kwamba Wakenya wanaweza kuishi kwa amani na pia kwa kupenda kila mmoja katika taifa hili. Bwana Spika, Mheshimiwa Raila alikuwa mtetezi ambaye alitaka kuona Wakenya wote wakiwa wametosheleshwa, mahali ambapo hakuna mtu ama hakuna wakati wa maendeleo, pande zote katika taifa hili zinaangaliwa na pia kazi inafanyika pale. Pia Bwana Spika, huyu Mheshimiwa Raila ameweza kukuza viongozi wengi, ameweza kuwalea na pia kuwafanya wakabobea katika hii sekta ya uongozi. Na leo hii Bwana Spika, tumeweza kuona yale ambayo yameweza kufanyika kutoka asubuhi, wakati ambapo mwili wake uliweza kufika katika taifa hili. Tumeweza kuona pembe zote za nchi hii, Bwana Spika, wananchi wote wakiomboleza kuachwa na Mheshimiwa Raila. Langu kwa leo ni kuombea roho ya mwenda zake Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, Mungu aiweke mahali pema anapoweka watakatifu wake. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Yes, Chonga.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I just need some clarification as to whether we are going to have a specific dress code tomorrow, because I know we're not in chamber, or it is free.
Honorable Chonga, if today we are wearing black to honor Baba, tomorrow is even a more important day. And it's in our traditions, more requirement for black tomorrow. So wear black. I will wear black. Not for 7 days, but tomorrow is the national day for mourning. It's the state funeral will be conducted tomorrow. So try your best. It will be good if we all wear black with ribbons as a house. Remember, you are truly here, and the Honorable Prime Minister stepped in this house on the same day in 1992. And we must honor him as our hero. Even Omar Mwinyi tomorrow wear black. Richard Yegon. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Personally also, I would like to convey my condolences to the family of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And I'm taking this on behalf of my family, that of myself, and the one for my great people of Bomet East. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to say we have lost a very democratic hero in our country. And we remember him for being a serious statesman, which he has shown this country and the world at large. Mr. Speaker, I would like to urge all, including the young generation, to emulate the leadership of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I'm saying so because in the history of this country, Right Honorable Raila Odinga has demonstrated that the country is more important than any individual. I'm saying so, Mr. Speaker, because in all the leadership which have come when Raila Odinga was in politics, he have collaborated with those governments, including the current government which we are in now. He has been a collaborator to date until his demise. And we would like to say we need more people, even including us, that we need to emulate him to make sure that at least the country is at peace when we are in problems like what we have been facing, even recently. If it was not because of him, I think the country could not be in safe hands now. And we want to say thank you for his leadership. He has shown also a lot of resilience when it comes to leadership, of which some of us, we have also tried to emulate him for the better country. He will remain in the history of this country, even in Africa at large. And I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, I want to wish the family of Raila Odinga all the best. May the grace of our Lord give them strength, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Roy Daubo. Give Obo. There you are.
Ya Mungu hayana uchungu. Bwana Spika, nashukuru kunipatia nami nafasi hii kwa niaba yangu, familia yangu na watu wangu wa Mashariki ninaowakilisha kutoa rambirambi zetu kwa familia ya baba Raila Amollo Odinga. Tunampatia pole zetu sana mama Aida, watoto wake na ndugu zake na undugu wa ODM kwa jumla na wa Broadbase.